People who support anarchy often try to avoid answering reasonable hypothetical scenarios about how anarchy would work, because they say that the same evil motivation of people that is present in that scenario is present in statist scenarios also. And that therefore what applies to one applies to the other, it cancels out, nullifies it, and so they don't have to answer it. Well, it is my belief that the very fact that the behavior of people would give a different result in different social structures would be the very reason for preferring one over the other. Yes, the motivation in one case is bad, the motivation in the other case is equally bad. What result do we get from that? Well, I suppose the anarchists are saying, bad people get a bad result regardless of whether we have an anarchy or a statist. And I don't think that is correct. Now, I'm going to give two examples. My first one is the best, but somebody may actually come in with some legitimate historical criticism of it. But let me try it and see how it works. Because what I'm going to do here is show that the same people, in a very short period of time, experienced two different governmental structures. And their behavior was very different. And if we go by the metric that is the most important to anarchists, namely the number of people killed, then one is far superior to the other. So if the evil of some people gives two different results under two different statist solutions, how can we say that anarchists that are evil will get the same result? Which result do we choose? The very fact that we could get multiple results under different statist solutions is enough to show that how the structure responds to the evil would be the very reason for choosing one over the other. Okay, here's my example. The Soviet Union used to be a union of a number of different states. It is my understanding that if you were a soldier in the Soviet army, you would likely be posted to a state, and it would never ever be the state you came from. And that's because in many of those states there were ethnic groups that would fight each other, and you were there as the peacekeeper between them. If you were from that state, you would prefer one over the other. What happened when the Soviet Union broke up? Now, I can't give you the examples, but we all read the newspapers. There was all this ethnic cleansing and all this fighting among various people, killing each other based on ethnic, maybe some religious grounds, particularly in Eastern Europe. So here we had the same people in a relatively short time having the all-encompassing government of the Soviet Union. And then when it came down to a different government, doesn't matter what it was, they wound up killing each other. The actual existence of the Soviet Union had kept all those people from killing each other for all those years. And based on the metric of death, then the Soviet Union was far better off before it collapsed than afterward, or the people in it were far better. We also have another situation. Suppose we have in the United States some community, state, pick your level of government that wants to enact a housing law, either overtly or covertly for the purpose of housing discrimination. If the government has a constitution that that would preclude that because of the discrimination, you get one result, even though you have the people with the same level of evil in their heart. And if you don't have that constitutional provision, you might very well get another result. So the fact that the people have the same motivation and pressure under different circumstances is not to be ignored. Its results are to be examined. And in Qtronman's situation, we had people clumped together by, I think it was religion, and there was nothing to keep them from going to war to each other. But just because it's the same people that there is evil doesn't mean that under a different social structure you might not get a different result. I think the anarchists are obligated to take reasonable scenarios, which I believe Qtronman's was, and respond to it, but they can't. So they give reasons that they don't have to answer. And those reasons are invalid.